For 8 years, my son Evan went to the bank every Monday. Every single Monday. Rain, shine, sleet, snow, didn't matter. He'd tell me it was work-related, something about weekly deposits or account maintenance or whatever corporate nonsense he fed me over the phone during our increasingly rare conversations. I'm Daniel Keaton, 53 years old, owner of Keaton Construction. I've spent 30 years building things with my hands, houses, offices, the occasional school addition. My son spent 8 years visiting a bank like it was his personal church, and I never questioned it because I trusted him. Stupid. The call came on a Wednesday afternoon. I was at the Riverside job site overseeing the foundation pour for a new medical complex. My phone buzzed in my pocket. Unknown number, local area code. I almost ignored it. Almost. Mr. Keaton. The voice was professional, clipped, female. This is Patricia Manning from First National Bank, downtown branch. I'm calling regarding your son, Evan Keaton. My stomach dropped. You know that feeling when someone says your kid's name in that particular tone? That careful, measured tone that means something's wrong, but they're trying not to panic you yet? What about Evan? I kept my voice steady, walking away from the concrete mixer's noise. I'm afraid there's been an incident at his workplace. We're required to notify next of kin regarding certain assets he maintained with us. Would you be available to come to the bank today? What kind of incident? A pause. Too long. I'd prefer to discuss this in person, Mr. Keaton. Are you available? I was in my truck 15 minutes later, concrete dust still on my jeans. The bank was downtown, one of those old brick buildings trying desperately to look modern with glass panels stuck on the facade. I'd driven past it 1,000 times. Never knew my son had been going there every Monday for 8 years. Patricia Manning met me in a private office on the second floor. Mid-40s, gray suit, glasses perched on her nose like she was perpetually disappointed in whatever paperwork she was reading. She gestured to a chair across from her desk. Mr. Keaton, thank you for coming so quickly. I'm sure you're concerned about Evan. You want to tell me what happened? She folded her hands on the desk. 2 days ago, there was an operational accident at the regional headquarters where Evan worked. The details are still unclear, but it occurred during what the company is calling a departmental restructuring. Several employees were terminated. Evan was among those affected. Affected how? He's missing, Mr. Keaton. He hasn't been seen since Monday evening. His vehicle was found in the parking garage. His personal effects were left at his desk. But Evan himself, she spread her hands. We don't know where he is. The words hit me like a hammer. Missing. My son was missing. Have the police been called? The company has filed a report, yes. But given the circumstances, the termination, the stress of the layoffs, they're treating it as a possible voluntary disappearance rather than foul play. Voluntary disappearance. Like Evan just decided to walk away from his life without telling anyone. Without telling me. Why am I here? I asked. Why did the bank call me? Patricia reached into a drawer and pulled out a form. Evan maintained a safety deposit box with us. He visited every Monday to make a deposit or check on its contents. When he opened the box 8 years ago, he left specific instructions. In the event of his termination, voluntary or otherwise, we were to contact you and transfer custody of the box. He left me a safety deposit box. Not exactly. He left instructions for you to receive it if he was ever separated from his position. She stood and motioned for me to follow. We went down to the vault, that sterile white hallway with numbered doors lining both walls. She used 2 keys, hers and one she retrieved from a sealed envelope, to open box 847. Inside was a small safe, maybe a foot square, brushed steel with a combination lock. No note, no explanation. Just the safe sitting there like a metal secret. He left instructions that you were to receive this, Patricia said, and that we were not to open it under any circumstances. I stared at it. My son had been visiting this bank every Monday for 8 years to maintain a safe he never wanted anyone to open. Not even him, apparently. Can I take it? That's why we called you. I carried it out to my truck. It weighed maybe 20 pounds. Not empty, but not heavy either. I set it on the passenger seat and just looked at it for a long moment. The combination lock had 4 digits. I tried Evan's birthday. Nothing. His wedding date. Nothing. My birthday. Nothing. Of course my son had a secret safe. Why wouldn't he? I mean, who doesn't treat a bank like their personal Monday morning church? I drove home with that safe sitting next to me like a passenger I didn't want. My house, the one I'd built myself 20 years ago, sat on 3 acres outside town. Workshop in the back, garden my late wife had planted before she passed. It was quiet out here. Too quiet now. I brought the safe inside and set it on the kitchen table, stared at it some more, tried a few more combinations, Evan's college graduation year, his mother's birthday, our old address. Nothing worked. Then I remembered something. When Evan was 12, he got his first bike lock. He set the combination to 2473. I asked him why those numbers. He said, "Because nobody would guess them, Dad. They don't mean anything." I tried 2473. The safe clicked open. I sat there for a long moment, my hand on the lid, not lifting it. Some part of me knew that whatever was inside was going to change everything. Some part of me wanted to close it back up, put it in the truck, and throw it in the river. But I opened it. The first thing I saw was a contract, legal paper, official stamps, the works. I pulled it out and read the header. Personal Loan Guarantee Agreement. My hands started shaking before I even read the details. The contract named Evan as the guarantor, the person legally responsible, for a loan taken out by Lydia Keaton, my daughter-in-law. The loan amount, $480,000. The date, 6 months ago. Evan had guaranteed almost $500,000 in debt for Lydia without telling me, without apparently telling anyone. I set the contract down and reached back into the safe. There was a manila folder underneath. I opened it. Inside was a notarized letter. I recognized the letterhead. It was from the title company I'd used when I transferred ownership of my old house to Evan as a wedding gift 5 years ago. That house had been my starter home, the first property I ever bought. I'd given it to Evan and Lydia to help them get started, told them to build their life there. The letter was dated 3 years ago. It detailed a property transfer, my property transfer, from Evan Keaton to Robert Chen, Lydia's father. I read it 3 times. Then I read it again. Evan had transferred the house I gave him, the house I built with my own hands, the house I signed over to him out of love, into his father-in-law's name, without telling me 3 years ago. I felt something crack inside my chest. But there was more. At the bottom of the safe was a small digital recorder, the kind journalists use. I pressed play. Lydia's voice came through, crystal clear. "He's still wearing that stupid construction outfit everywhere. Did you see him at the restaurant? I wanted to die." A man's voice, Robert Chen. "He's always been low class. Evan's done well despite him." A woman's voice I didn't recognize, probably Lydia's mother. "At least Evan's making something of himself. Once he gets the promotion, we can cut Daniel out completely. He's served his purpose?" Lydia again. "God, I hope so. I'm tired of pretending to be grateful. The man still thinks we actually wanted that dump of a house." Laughter. All 3 of them laughing. The recording continued. More conversation, more mockery. They discussed how easy I'd been to manipulate, how desperate I was for Evan to love me, how they'd convinced Evan to transfer the house to Robert's name as asset protection, and I'd never even known. "He'll sign anything," Robert said, "as long as he thinks it's helping Evan." I sat at that kitchen table with my hands pressed flat against the wood I'd installed myself, listening to my son's wife and her family laugh about how pathetic I was, how disposable. The recording ended. I looked back into the safe. There was one more item at the very bottom, tucked into a corner like an afterthought. A plastic key card, white blank except for a black magnetic strip. No label, no identification. On the back, written in Evan's handwriting, Storage Unit 23. I picked it up, turned it over in my fingers. Evan had left me a trail, a safe containing evidence of betrayal, and a key to something he wanted me to find, or something he wanted hidden. I checked my phone, no messages from Evan, no calls from the police, nothing from Lydia asking if I'd heard from her missing husband. Just silence. I looked at the key card again, then I grabbed my truck keys. Before we continue, hit the hype button, subscribe, and like the video to help the channel grow. Tell us which city you are from in the comments. We'd love to get to know our audience better. The storage facility was 40 minutes outside town, off Highway 17 near the old quarry. I'd driven past it hundreds of times without really seeing it. One of those sprawling complexes with identical orange doors lined up like soldiers, security fence around the perimeter, and a keypad at the entrance that hadn't been updated since 1995. The keycard worked. The gate rolled open with a mechanical groan. Unit 23 was in the back row, tucked between 2 larger units. I parked my truck and sat there for a moment, staring at the orange door. The sun was setting, casting long shadows across the gravel lot. Nobody else was around. Just me and whatever Evan had been hiding here. The keycard opened this lock, too. The door rolled up with a metallic screech. Inside was dark. I found a light switch, flipped it. Fluorescent bulbs flickered on, it revealing a 10 by 10 space packed with boxes. Expensive boxes. The kind with designer labels. Nordstrom, Saks, Neiman Marcus, all addressed to Lydia Keaton. I pulled one open. Designer purses still in their dust bags. Another box. Shoes that probably cost more than my truck payment. Another, jewelry boxes, the real kind with velvet lining. I walked deeper into the unit. There was a filing cabinet in the corner. I yanked open the top drawer. Files, dozens of them, organized with a kind of precision that made my skin crawl. Each one labeled with a date and a transaction amount. The first folder I pulled was labeled Monday Deliveries, Year 1. Inside were receipts. Every single Monday for 12 months, Evan had made cash deposits into the storage unit account. $500 every week, like clockwork. I pulled another folder. Year 2, same pattern. Year 3, Year 4. 8 years? 8 years of $500 weekly payments to maintain this storage unit full of Lydia's luxury purchases. I did the math in my head. $500 a week for 8 years. That's over $200,000, just for the storage fees and whatever he'd been buying. And that didn't include the $480,000 loan. I sat down on one of the boxes, feeling dizzy. My son had spent his entire marriage bleeding money to keep his wife happy, to keep her in designer purses and shoes she'd never wear, to maintain this secret warehouse of status symbols. And he'd used my house as collateral for her gambling habit, or her shopping addiction, or whatever the hell she'd needed $500,000 for. I opened the second drawer of the filing cabinet. This folder was different, thicker, labeled in Evan's handwriting, "Dad, do not open." My hands shook as I pulled it out. Inside were photographs, dozens of them. High-quality prints, the kind from a professional camera. Each one was dated and labeled. The first photo showed Evan and Lydia sitting at a kitchen table, my kitchen table, in the house I'd given them. They were looking at documents spread across the surface. Lydia was pointing at something, her face intense. Evan was nodding. The second photo was a close-up of those documents. My signature, on a property transfer form. But I'd never signed any property transfer except the original one when I gave them the house. The signature was perfect. Too perfect. Like someone had traced it. Photo 3. Lydia practicing my signature on a legal pad. Page after page of Daniel Keaton in slightly different variations until she got it right. Photo 4. Robert Chen, Lydia's father, handing Evan an envelope, both of them smiling. Photo 5. A bank statement showing the $480,000 loan deposited into an account. Not Lydia's account, not Evan's account, Robert Chen's account. I stood up, nearly knocked over the filing cabinet. The room spun. My son and his wife had forged my signature to transfer property I'd given them out of love. Then they'd used that property, my property, as collateral for a loan that went straight into Robert Chen's pocket, and Evan had documented all of it, had taken photos like he was gathering evidence. But evidence for what? For who? I pulled out my phone, checked for messages again. Still nothing from Evan. Still nothing from the police. Lydia hadn't even called to tell me her husband was missing. I looked back at the folder. There was something else at the bottom, a sheet of paper with handwritten notes. Evan's writing again, but messier this time. Frantic. "Dad, if you're reading this, I'm sorry. I never meant for it to go this far. They said it was just one loan, just temporary. But it kept growing. The storage unit, the clothes, the trips. Lydia said she deserved it, that I owed her for marrying down. Her father said you'd never noticed the house transfer, that you'd signed so many documents you couldn't remember them all. I believed them. I believed them because I wanted to believe them, because I wanted her to love me, because I was ashamed of you, and I'm sorry for that. I'm sorry for all of it. The loan came due. Robert can't pay it, Lydia can't pay it, I can't pay it, and the people he borrowed from aren't the kind who take excuses. I'm sorry I was a coward. I'm sorry I threw you away for people who never loved me at all. Don't try to find me. Don't try to fix this. Just take these files and burn them. Forget I existed. Evan." I read the note 3 times. Then I folded it carefully and put it in my pocket. My son thought I'd burn the evidence. Thought I'd just walk away and let him disappear into whatever hole he dug for himself. Thought I'd let Robert Chen and Lydia get away with stealing my property, my signature, my trust. He didn't know me at all. I photographed every single document in that filing cabinet. Every receipt, every photo, every bank statement. I took videos of the storage unit, panning across the boxes of designer goods. I documented everything with the kind of methodical precision I used on construction sites when I needed to prove someone had cut corners. Then I loaded the most important files into my truck. The property transfer with my forged signature, the loan guarantee, the photos of Lydia practicing my signature, all of it. I was about to leave when I noticed something, a small box on the highest shelf, pushed to the back. I climbed on a crate and pulled it down. Inside was a corporate envelope. The return address, Chen Enterprises, LLC, Robert Chen's company. The same company where Evan had worked part-time during college. The same company that had given him his big break into banking. I opened the envelope. Inside was a contract dated 10 years ago, an employment agreement between Chen Enterprises and Evan Keaton, but it wasn't a normal employment contract. It was a recruitment agreement. Robert Chen had paid Evan $50,000, a signing bonus, to facilitate family integration and asset access. In plain English, Robert Chen had paid my son $50,000 to marry Lydia and get access to me. I sat back down on the crate, holding that contract in my hands. This wasn't about love. It wasn't about Evan making mistakes or Lydia's shopping addiction or any of the things I'd been telling myself. This was a con, a 10-year con, and I'd been the mark from day one. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer. Hello? Silence on the other end. Someone was there. Who is this? More silence. Then finally, a voice I knew better than my own. Stop digging, Dad. Evan, my son. Alive. Not missing. Not in danger. Just hiding. Where are you? I kept my voice level. Somewhere you can't find me. Why? Because you can't help. Because if you keep looking, if you keep asking questions, you're going to make things worse. For both of us. Worse than stealing my house, worse than forging my signature, worse than taking $500,000 in a loan using property that wasn't yours. Silence. I found the storage unit, Evan. I found everything. Then you know why I had to leave. I know you're a coward. I know you let your wife and her father use me like an ATM. I know you documented all of it and then ran away instead of facing what you did. Dad, don't. My voice cracked. Don't call me that. You lost the right to call me that when you sold me out for $50,000 and a woman who thinks I'm trash. I heard him breathing. Harsh, fast, like he was crying. I'm sorry, he said. No, you're not, but you will be. I hung up. My hands were shaking so hard I nearly dropped the phone. I looked around the storage unit one more time. All this money, all this effort. 8 years of Monday visits to maintain a lie, to maintain a life built on my signature, my property, my trust. They thought I'd just roll over. Thought I'd be too stupid or too tired or too broken to fight back. Thought the old construction worker wouldn't know how to navigate legal documents and corporate fraud. They didn't know me at all. I loaded the last of the evidence into my truck and drove home. It was almost midnight by the time I pulled into my driveway. The house was dark, empty, like it had been since my wife died 8 years ago. 8 years? The same amount of time Evan had been running his Monday bank routine. The same amount of time he'd been bleeding me dry while I grieved alone. I went inside and spread all the documents across my dining room table. Then I made a list. Everything Evan had taken from me, everything Robert Chen had stolen, everything Lydia had spent, and everything I was going to take back. I worked through the night, organizing files, making copies, building a case. Not for the police? Not yet. This was bigger than fraud charges and court dates. This was about making them understand what they'd done. About making them feel what I felt when I opened that safe. About making them pay. Around 3 a.m, my phone buzzed again. Text message, unknown number. I know you're angry. I know you want answers. But some things are better left alone. Trust me. I recognized the punctuation style, the careful grammar. Evan always was a precise writer, even when he was lying. I typed back, I already lost everything. You made sure of that. 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. Then, no, you haven't. Not yet. It sounded like a threat. I smiled for the first time in days. Let him threaten. Let them all threaten. They'd forgotten who they were dealing with. I'd built a construction company from nothing. I'd survived losing my wife. I'd raised a son who turned into a stranger. I could survive this too. And I could make damn sure they didn't. I woke up to someone pounding on my door. Hard, aggressive knocks that rattled the frame. I checked the clock. 5:30 a.m. Still dark outside. I grabbed a baseball bat from the closet and went downstairs. Through the peephole, I saw a man in a suit. Behind him, 2 more men. One of them looked like he could bench press my truck. I opened the door a crack, keeping the chain lock engaged. Help you? The man in the suit held up a badge. Vincent Mora, FBI. We need to talk about Robert Chen. I stared at him. The FBE, at 5:30 a.m. Let me see that badge again. He held it up. It looked real. I unlatched the chain and stepped back, bat still in hand. You can put that down, Morris said. We're not here to hurt you. Then why are you here? Because you've been poking around in Robert Chen's business, and you're about to step into something a lot bigger than property fraud. He nodded to one of the other agents, who pulled out a tablet and tapped something on the screen. He turned it toward me. Financial records, bank statements, wire transfers, all connected to Chen Enterprises. We've been investigating Robert Chen for 2 years, Morris said. Money laundering, tax evasion, fraud. Your property case brought you onto our radar. We'd like you to stop. Stop investigating my own fraud case? Stop investigating Chen. Let us handle it. Why? Because you're going to spook him. He's already spooked. We intercepted communications indicating he knows someone's digging into his finances. If he runs, we lose years of work. If you push him too hard, he might destroy evidence. We need you to back off. I laughed. So I'm supposed to just let him keep my house? Let him get away with stealing from me? Because it might inconvenience your investigation? We're offering you witness protection. A new identity, relocation, financial compensation. You cooperate with us. We make sure Robert Chen goes to prison for a very long time. You get justice. I don't want witness protection. I want my property back, and I want Robert Chen to know it was me who destroyed him. Mora's expression hardened. Mr. Keaton, you don't understand what you're dealing with. Robert Chen isn't just a con artist. He's connected to organized crime. The money he borrowed from that Atlantic City lender, that's mob money. The people he's working with don't care about legal battles. They care about getting paid, and if you get in their way, they will eliminate you. They already tried. They vandalized my truck. That was a warning. Next time it won't be your truck. I looked at the financial records on the tablet. Millions of dollars moving through shell companies, offshore accounts, properties purchased under fake names. Robert Chen wasn't just stealing from me. He was running a criminal enterprise. What happens to my property if I cooperate? I asked. We seize it as evidence. Eventually, after the trial, you'll get it back. But that could take years. And what happens to Evan? To Lydia? If they're involved in the fraud, they'll face charges. If they cooperate with us, they might get deals. But Mr. Keaton, I have to be honest, your son is in serious danger. He helped Robert Chen commit federal crimes. The people Chen owes money to might see Evan as leverage, or a liability. Either way, he's not safe. Where is he? I asked. We don't know. He's been moving around. Different hotels, different cities. He's scared. Smart of him. Can you protect him? If he turns himself in, yes. If he stays hidden, no. I walked to the window, looking out at my property. The garden my wife had planted. The workshop I'd built. The trees we'd watched grow for 20 years. All of it at risk because my son had made a deal with a criminal. What do you need from me? I asked. Mora stepped closer. Stop your legal challenges. Stop investigating. Stop contacting Robert Chen, Lydia, or anyone connected to them. Let us handle it. In exchange, we'll make sure you're protected, compensated, and that Chen goes away for a long time. And if I say no, then you're on your own, and when the people Chen owes money to come after you, and they will, we can't help you. I turned back to face him. How long would your investigation take? 6 months, maybe a year. And I'm supposed to just sit here for a year while Robert Chen lives in my house, while Lydia spends money she stole from me, while Evan hides like a coward? Yes, no deal. Mora's jaw tightened. Mr. Keaton? I appreciate the warning. I appreciate you telling me what I'm up against. But I'm not backing down, I'm not hiding, and I'm not waiting a year for justice. I'm getting my property back now, and if Robert Chen has a problem with that, he can come find me. You're making a mistake. Everyone keeps telling me that, but they're wrong. Maybe, but at least I'll die fighting. They left. I watched them drive away, 3 black SUVs disappearing down my driveway. Then I went back inside and called Marcus Patterson. FBI visited me this morning, I said. They want me to back off. Jesus, Daniel, what did you say? I said no. Are you insane? If the FBI is involved, then Robert Chen is in deeper shit than I thought, which means I have leverage. He can't fight me and the FBI at the same time. He's going to have to choose. Choose what? Whether to fight me in court or run from the feds. Either way, I win. Marcus was quiet for a long moment. You're playing a very dangerous game. I know. What if they come after you, the mob, or whoever Chen owes money to? Then I'll deal with it. With what? You're a construction worker, not a soldier. I'm a father who got betrayed by his son. That makes me dangerous enough. I hung up and spent the rest of the morning working on my case. If the FBI wanted me to back off, that meant I was close to something important. something that could hurt Robert Chen badly enough to make him desperate. I pulled up the financial records I'd photographed from Evan's storage unit, cross-referenced them with the property records I'd pulled from the courthouse, started connecting dots. The $480,000 loan Lydia had taken out, the one Evan had guaranteed, had been used to pay down another loan. That loan had been used to purchase the warehouse complex off Highway 23. That warehouse had been used as collateral for the $2 million loan from the Atlantic City lender. It was a shell game. Robert Chen borrowing from one place to pay another, moving debt around like cups in a con game, hoping nobody would notice until he could make it all work somehow. The warehouse foreclosure became public knowledge the next morning. It made the local business section, Chen Enterprises faces facility seizure. The article was brief, just the facts, but it was enough. Robert Chen's carefully constructed image as a successful businessman was crumbling. I was in my office when Rita burst through the door. "Boss, you need to see this." She pulled up a news site on her phone. Another article, this one from a larger paper. FBI investigating local construction firm for money laundering. No names mentioned yet, but everyone in the industry would know they were talking about Chen Enterprises. "It's happening," I said. "What's happening?" "Everything's collapsing at once. The warehouse, the FBI investigation, the loans. Robert Chen is out of moves." My phone rang. Marcus Patterson. "The judge granted your emergency injunction," he said. "The property is frozen. Chen can't sell it, transfer it, or use it as collateral. It's locked down until the fraud case is resolved." "How long will that take?" "Depends. If Chen fights it, could be months. If he's too busy fighting the FBI to fight us, could be weeks." "What about Lydia? The forged signatures?" "I've filed a police report with Detective Walsh. If he wants to press charges, he can. That's out of our hands now." "Good." I hung up and immediately got another call. Unknown number. I was starting to recognize the pattern. "Mr. Keaton, my name is Thomas Brennan. I represent the Atlantic City lender you've been speaking with. My client asked me to inform you that the warehouse foreclosure is complete. Chen Enterprises no longer has access to the facility. We've changed the locks and posted notice." "How did Chen react?" "He didn't. He hasn't responded to our calls or emails. We believe he may have left town." I sat up straighter. "Left town?" "His office is closed. His personal residence appears empty. We've sent process servers to multiple addresses. No one can locate him." Robert Chen had run, just like Evan predicted. "What about his daughter?" I asked. "Lydia Keaton?" "We haven't been able to locate her either." I thanked him and hung up, and then I immediately called Detective Walsh. "Robert Chen and Lydia disappeared," I said. "They ran." "We know. The FBI alerted us this morning. They're tracking his financial activity, trying to figure out where he went." "What about Evan?" "Still no sign of him. But Mr. Keaton, I need to ask you something. Did you contact Chen's creditors? Did you tell them about the FBI investigation?" "I might have mentioned it." "Jesus Christ. You interfered with an active federal investigation? Do you understand how serious that is?" "I understand that I needed Chen desperate, and now he is." "You're lucky the FBI isn't pressing charges against you, and they might still. They're not happy." "They'll get over it." I hung up and sat back in my chair. Robert Chen had run. Lydia had run. Evan was already hiding. My entire family, or what was left of it, had scattered like cockroaches when the lights came on. But running didn't mean they'd escaped. It just meant they were scared, and scared people make mistakes. I spent the rest of the day monitoring news sites, watching for updates. The FBI investigation became more public. Allegations of money laundering, tax evasion, fraud. Chen Enterprises was finished. Even if Robert Chen somehow avoided prison, his business reputation was destroyed. Around 3 p.m., Tommy knocked on my office door. "Boss, you got a visitor. Says it's urgent." "Who?" "Wouldn't give a name. Just said you'd want to talk to her." I walked out to the front office. A woman was standing by Rita's desk. Late 20s, expensive clothes, terrified expression. Lydia's sister. I recognized her from family photos Evan had shown me years ago. "Mr. Keaton," she said, "I need to talk to you. About Lydia." I led her to my office and closed the door. "I'm listening." "Lydia called me this morning. She's scared. She said you're trying to destroy her life, that you've turned everyone against her, that she's going to lose everything because of you." She's right. The sister, I couldn't remember her name, looked shocked. "You admit it. Your sister and her father stole from me. They forged my signature, used my property as collateral for loans I never authorized, and manipulated my son into betraying me. So yes, I'm destroying her life, because she destroyed mine first." She said it was a mistake, that things got out of control, that Robert was supposed to pay everything back. Robert Chen is a criminal. Your sister married my son as part of a con to steal my property. There was no mistake. It was deliberate. She sank into a chair. I didn't know. She told me Evan gave you the house voluntarily, that you wanted to help them get started. I did. I gave them the house as a wedding gift. Then Evan transferred it into Robert's name without telling me, and when I found out, they tried to intimidate me into backing off. What do you want from her? I want my property back. I want acknowledgement of what she did, and I want her to leave me alone. She's pregnant. I felt something twist in my chest. What? Lydia's pregnant. 3 months. She's terrified she's going to have this baby in jail, that her child is going to grow up visiting her in prison. Then she should have thought about that before she committed fraud. Mr. Keaton, please. I'm not asking you to forgive her. I'm asking you to give her a chance to make this right. She'll testify against Robert. She'll return anything she still has. She'll cooperate with the police. Just don't press charges. I looked at this woman, barely older than Evan, scared for her sister, probably believing the lies Lydia had fed her. She had no idea what kind of person her sister really was. Where is she? I asked. I can't tell you that. Then I can't help her. She's afraid you'll send someone after her, or that Robert will find her. I don't care where she is, but if she wants mercy, she needs to turn herself in, face what she did, accept the consequences. She's pregnant. I heard you, and I'm sorry for the kid. But that doesn't change what she did to me. The sister stood up, tears in her eyes. You're a cruel man. No, I'm a man who got betrayed by his family. There's a difference. She left. I sat alone in my office, staring at the wall. Lydia was pregnant, which meant somewhere out there was going to be a grandchild I'd never meet. A kid who'd grow up hearing about how their grandfather was the villain who destroyed their mother's life. Maybe I was the villain. Maybe I'd crossed that line after all, but I still wasn't backing down. My phone buzzed. Text from Evan. Lydia's pregnant. That's your grandchild. Please stop this. I stared at the text for a long time. Then I typed back. She should have thought about that before she stole from me. You're going to let your grandchild grow up without a mother? You let me grow old without a son. Seems fair. No response. I went home that evening feeling hollowed out. The house was too quiet, too empty, too full of memories I didn't want anymore. I walked through the rooms, looking at everything I'd built. The crown molding I'd installed myself, the hardwood floors I'd refinished, the kitchen cabinets I'd custom built for my wife. All of it was mine. But it felt like it belonged to someone else, some version of me that had existed before I opened that safe, before I learned what my son really thought of me. I made dinner, frozen pizza, beer from the fridge, and ate alone at the kitchen table, the same table where I'd opened the safe, the same table where I'd read the contract and the forged documents and listened to that audio recording. My phone rang. Unknown number. I was so tired of unknown numbers. What? I answered. Mr. Keaton? A woman's voice. Young, scared. This is Ashley Morrison. Helen Morrison's daughter, my mom's lawyer. She asked me to call you because something happened. What happened? Someone broke into our house tonight, trashed my mom's office, took all her files on the Chen case, her computer, her phone, everything. The police are here now, but they don't know who did it. My stomach dropped. Is your mother okay? She's scared, really scared. She said whoever did this left a message on her office wall. It said, drop the Chen case, or next time we come for you. Where's Robert Chen? We don't know. He hasn't contacted us in 3 days. We've been trying to reach him, but he's not responding. What about Lydia? Same thing. It's like they both just vanished. I thought about the loan shark from Atlantic City, about the dangerous people the FBI had warned me about the fact that Robert Chen owed $2 million to men who didn't accept excuses. Tell your mother to drop the case, I said. Tell her to walk away. This isn't worth her life. She said the same thing. She's filing a motion to withdraw as Chen's attorney tomorrow. She wanted me to tell you that you were right. Robert Chen is more dangerous than she thought. Thank you for calling. I hung up and immediately called Detective Walsh. Someone broke into Robert Chen's lawyer's house tonight, I said. I think the people Chen owes money to are getting desperate. We know, we're working with the FBI on it. But Mr. Keaton, you need to be careful. If they went after Chen's lawyer, they might come after you. Why me? Because you're the reason Chen's business collapsed. You contacted his creditors, filed the injunction, made everything public. From their perspective, you cost them $2 million. I didn't cost them anything. Chen did. They might not see it that way. I hung up and walked to my bedroom closet, pulled out the metal box with my father's gun, looked at it for a long moment. Then I loaded it, chambered around, set it on my nightstand. I wasn't going to shoot anyone, but if someone came through my door looking for revenge, I wasn't going to die without a fight either. I lay in bed that night, staring at the ceiling, listening to every creak and groan of the house, waiting for footsteps, waiting for broken glass, waiting for whatever came next. Nothing happened. But I didn't sleep, because I knew this wasn't over. Robert Chen had run, but the people he owed money to were still out there, still angry, still looking for someone to blame, and I'd painted a target on my back by destroying Chen's life, but I still wasn't backing down. The next morning, I drove to my construction site with Tommy following in his truck. We'd agreed he'd shadow me until this situation was resolved, not because I wanted a bodyguard, but because having a witness might make Robert Chen's creditors think twice about making a move. The site was a new commercial development, 3 buildings going up simultaneously. Normally, I'd be coordinating crews, checking materials, solving problems. Today, I was distracted, constantly checking my mirrors, watching for vehicles that didn't belong. Around 10 a.m., a black SUV pulled into the site. Tinted windows, out-of-state plates. It parked near the trailer we used as a temporary office. Tommy saw it too. He grabbed his radio. "Boss, we got company." "I see it." 2 men got out. Expensive suits, the kind that said professional, but moved like they knew how to handle themselves. One of them was the size of a refrigerator. The other was smaller, older, with gray hair and cold eyes. The older one walked toward me. "Daniel Keaton?" "Who's asking?" "My name is Vincent Torino. I work for the gentleman who loaned Robert Chen $2 million. We need to talk." "About what?" "About the fact that you destroyed Chen's business before he could pay us back. About the fact that we're now short $2 million because of your personal vendetta." "That's not my problem." "Actually, Mr. Keaton, it is. Because we've decided that if Chen can't pay us, you will." I laughed. "I don't owe you anything." "You interfered with our loan repayment. You contacted Chen's creditors, triggered the warehouse foreclosure, made everything public. You cost us money. That makes you liable. Take it up with the courts." Torino smiled. It wasn't a friendly smile. "We don't use courts." Tommy stepped forward, tool belt still on, hammer hanging at his side. "Time for you to leave." The bigger man moved toward Tommy, fast for his size. Tommy raised the hammer. "Stop," I said. "Everyone just stop." Torino held up a hand. His partner backed off. "Smart," Torino said. "Because if this gets violent, people get hurt. And we don't want that. We're reasonable men. We just want what we're owed." "I don't have $2 million. "We know, but you have assets. This construction company, property, equipment. We've done our research. Your business is worth about $1 million, give or take. Your house, another $300,000. Liquidate everything, and you're halfway to settling Chen's debt. You want me to give you my entire life's work because Robert Chen couldn't pay you back? We want compensation for our loss. How you provide it is up to you. And if I refuse?" Torino's smile widened. "Then we take it less pleasantly. Accidents happen on construction sites. Equipment fails. Buildings collapse. People get hurt. You wouldn't want that. You're threatening me. I'm explaining reality. You have 1 week to come up with a payment plan. After that, we start collecting in other ways." They left. The black SUV pulled out of the site, leaving tire tracks in the dirt. Tommy was pale. "Boss, we need to call the police." "And tell them what? That some guys in suits threatened us? They didn't do anything illegal. Not yet. They're mob, Daniel. You know they're mob." "I know, but calling the police won't stop them. It'll just make them come back harder." "Then what do we do?" I watched the SUV disappear down the road. "We fight." "Against the mob? Are you insane?" "They think I'm an easy target. An old construction worker who got in over his head. They think I'll panic and give them whatever they want. But they're wrong. Daniel, I'm not giving them my business. I'm not giving them my house. And I'm not giving them anything Robert Chen owes. This is his debt, not mine. Maybe, at least this way I'll go down fighting." I spent the rest of the day making calls, first to the FBI. "Agent Mora, this is Daniel Keaton. The people Robert Chen owes money to just threatened me, told me I have a week to pay his debt, or they'll start breaking things." "Did they threaten you specifically?" "They said accidents happen on construction sites, that equipment fails, that people get hurt. Is that specific enough? Did they say they would hurt you, or just that you should be careful?" "It's the mob, Agent Mora. You know what they meant. I can't arrest someone for vague threats, unless they specifically." I'm not asking you to arrest anyone. I'm asking you to protect me. You said if I backed off your investigation, you'd make sure I was safe. Well, I'm not safe, and your investigation is why." Mora was silent for a moment. Then, "I'll see what I can do. But Mr. Keaton, you need to understand. If we assign protection to you, you can't keep investigating Chen, you can't contact his creditors, you can't file legal challenges, you have to stop. I already stopped. Chen's gone. His business is destroyed. I got what I wanted. Except your house. Except that. Then here's my offer. Cooperate with our investigation, testify about what Chen did, and we'll make sure the property gets returned to you when this is over. In exchange, we provide protection until the threat is neutralized. How long will that take? However long it takes to catch the people threatening you. And what do I do in the meantime? Hide? Yes." I hung up. I wasn't hiding. I'd spent 8 years hiding from the truth about my son. I wasn't spending another day hiding from anything. Next, I called Marcus Patterson. "The mob just threatened me," I said. "They want me to pay Robert Chen's debt." "Jesus Christ, Daniel. This is exactly what I was afraid of. I need to finish what I started. Can we accelerate the property return? Get a court order forcing the transfer back to me immediately?" "Not immediately. These things take time. And if Robert Chen is missing, then the court should treat him as having abandoned the property. That makes it easier, right? Abandoned property reverts to the rightful owner. It's not that simple. Make it that simple. File whatever you need to file. I want that property back now, not in 6 months. Daniel, if the mob is threatening you, you need to worry about staying alive, not about getting your house back." "The house is why I'm staying alive. It's the only thing that matters anymore." I hung up and sat in my truck, trying to think. The mob wanted payment. The FBI wanted cooperation. My lawyer wanted caution. Everyone wanted me to be reasonable, but I was done being reasonable. I drove to the bank where Evan had left the safe. Patricia Manning met me in her office, looking nervous. "Mr. Keaton, I wasn't expecting you. I need access to Evan's original account records, every transaction he made over the past 8 years, every deposit, every withdrawal, everything." "I can't give you that. Privacy laws." "Evan's missing. I'm his next of kin. That means I have legal access to his financial records in the event of incapacity." "That's not technically." "Get your legal department on the phone. Tell them Daniel Keaton wants his son's records, and if they don't provide them, I'll file a court order and make this very public. The last thing this bank needs is publicity about how one of its customers used your institution to facilitate fraud." She made the call. 20 minutes later, I had a USB drive containing every transaction Evan had made at this bank for the past 8 years. I drove home and plugged the drive into my computer. Started going through the records. $500 every Monday, like clockwork. For 8 years. That money had gone to maintaining the storage unit, but there were other transactions too. Larger amounts. 20,000 here, 15,000 there. All of it going to accounts I didn't recognize. I cross-referenced the account numbers with the documents I'd found in the storage unit. The pattern became clear. Evan had been funneling money from his legitimate bank job into Robert Chen's shell companies. He wasn't just a victim of his father-in-law's manipulation, he was an active participant in the money laundering. My son was a criminal. Not just a coward or a manipulator, but an actual criminal who'd been stealing and laundering money for years. I felt something inside me finally break. I'd been telling myself that Evan was weak, that he'd made mistakes, that he'd been pressured by Lydia and Robert, but the records didn't lie. Evan had been doing this voluntarily, enthusiastically even. He'd been making good money from these transactions, bonuses from Robert Chen for services rendered. He'd sold me out for money. That's all it was. Not love for Lydia, not fear of Robert, just money. I closed my laptop and sat there in the dark kitchen. Outside, the sun was setting. The house was quiet. Too quiet. My phone buzzed. Text from Evan. "Dad, I'm sorry for everything. I wish I could take it back." I stared at the message for a long time. Then I typed, "You can't. What's done is done. I know, but I need you to know I never wanted to hurt you. I got lost. I made bad choices. I'm sorry. Where are you?" "Somewhere safe. For now. The people Robert owes money to are looking for you. They're looking for me too. They think I should pay his debt." "I know. That's why I'm in hiding." "Turn yourself in. Cooperate with the FBI. It's the only way out." No response. I set the phone down and walked to the window. Looked out at my property, the garden, the workshop, the trees. All of it threatened now because my son had decided to become a criminal. A thought occurred to me. Dangerous. Possibly stupid. but it was the only move I had left. I picked up my phone and called the number Torino had given me. "Mr. Torino, this is Daniel Keaton. I want to make a deal." "I'm listening." "I can give you Robert Chen's location, and Lydia's, and all the money they have hidden. In exchange, you leave me alone." Silence. "Then, how much money?" "Based on the bank records I just acquired, probably close to $300,000 in various accounts. Not the full amount Chen owes you, but it's something." "And their locations?" "I can find them. Give me 3 days." "Why would you betray your own son?" "Because he betrayed me first." Another pause. Then, 3 days. If you deliver, we'll consider the matter settled. If you don't, we come for you." "Understood." I hung up. Tommy was right. I was insane. I just made a deal with the mob to rat out my own son, to hand over his location so they could collect Robert Chen's debt from him. But I was out of options. The FBI wanted me to hide. My lawyer wanted me to wait. The mob wanted me to pay. This was the only way to get them all off my back. And if Evan and Lydia ended up facing the consequences of their choices, well, they'd earned it. I spent the rest of the night going through Evan's bank records, tracing transactions, following the money trail. By morning, I had a list of accounts, shell companies, and properties connected to Robert Chen's money laundering operation, and I had a pretty good idea where Evan and Lydia were hiding. Now, I just had to decide whether to follow through, whether to betray my son the way he'd betrayed me, whether to become the villain everyone thought I already was. I didn't sleep. By dawn, I'd traced every transaction, every shell company, every suspicious transfer in Evan's bank records. The pattern was clear: money flowing from Evan's legitimate accounts into Robert Chen's network, then disappearing into offshore holdings. But there was one account that stood out: a small regional bank in Asheville, North Carolina. Deposits made every other week, always in cash, always under $10,000 to avoid federal reporting requirements. Someone was being careful, someone was building a nest egg. I cross-referenced the account with the dates Evan had gone silent on his phone records. The deposits matched perfectly with gaps in his communication. He'd been driving to Asheville every 2 weeks, stockpiling cash. That's where he was. That's where they both were. I made coffee and sat at the kitchen table with my laptop, staring at the address I'd found. A small apartment complex on the outskirts of Asheville. Cheap, anonymous. The kind of place where people paid in cash and didn't ask questions. My phone rang. Torino. "Mr. Keaton, have you made progress?" "I have, but I need something from you first." "You're not in a position to negotiate." "Actually, I am, and that makes me an accessory to murder. So here's the deal. You get their location, you get the money, but you don't touch them. You take what they have and walk away." Torino laughed. "You think you can dictate terms to us?" "I think you want your money more than you want revenge. I'm offering you both. Take it or leave it." Silence. Then, "Fine. We take the money, we leave. But if they run again, all bets are off." "They won't run. They don't have anywhere left to go." "Then give me the address." I hesitated. This was it, the moment where I either saved my son or condemned him, where I chose between justice and mercy, between revenge and family. I thought about the safe, the forged signatures, the audio recording of Lydia and her family laughing at how pathetic I was. I thought about 8 years of Monday visits, 8 years of lies, 8 years of my son stealing from me while I grieved alone. I gave Torino the address. Asheville, North Carolina, apartment 7B at the Riverside Complex. Registered under the name Jennifer Walsh, Lydia's mother's maiden name. They've been there for at least 2 weeks. "How much money?" Based on the account records, roughly $280,000 in cash. Hidden somewhere in the apartment, probably. Plus whatever jewelry and valuables Lydia took from her storage unit. "We'll verify this. If you're lying..." "I'm not lying, but remember our deal. You take the money, you leave them alive. We'll see." He hung up. I sat there with the phone in my hand, feeling nothing. No regret, no guilt, no satisfaction, just emptiness. I just sold out my son to the mob, to save myself, to get revenge, to end this nightmare once and for all. Maybe I was the villain after all. An hour later, my phone rang again. Detective Walsh. "Mr. Keaton, we need to talk. Now, can you come to the station?" "What's this about?" "Just come in. It's important." I drove to the police station, wondering if the FBI had somehow found out about my deal with Torino. If I was about to be arrested for obstruction of justice or conspiracy or whatever they charged people with for making deals with criminals. Walsh met me in the same interview room as before. But this time, Agent Mora was there too, and he looked angry. "Mr. Keaton," Mora said, "we know about your conversation with Vincent Torino." My stomach dropped. "How?" "Because we've had his phone tapped for 6 months. We heard everything. You giving him your son's location, you making a deal to hand over Robert Chen's money, you facilitating organized crime's collection efforts. I was trying to protect myself. You were obstructing a federal investigation. Again. And this time, it's serious enough that we can charge you." "Then charge me," Mora leaned forward. "Or you can help us. We're raiding that apartment in Asheville tonight. We'll be there before Torino's people. We'll take Evan and Lydia into custody, seize whatever money they have, and use it as evidence in the case against Chen. In exchange, you agree to testify, full cooperation, everything you know about Chen's operation." "And what happens to Evan?" "That depends on how much he cooperates. If he testifies against Robert Chen, if he provides evidence of the money laundering and fraud, he might get a deal. Reduced sentence, maybe even immunity if he's valuable enough." "And if he doesn't cooperate?" "Then he goes to prison for a long time." I looked at Walsh. He was quiet, watching me. "What do you think I should do?" I asked him. "I think you should protect your son, even if he doesn't deserve it, because that's what fathers do." I thought about that. About 8 years of being a father to someone who saw me as a mark. About sacrificing my property, my dignity, my self-respect for a kid who'd never appreciated any of it. "No," I said. Mora blinked. "No? I'm not testifying. I'm not helping you. And I'm not protecting Evan anymore. He made his choices. Let him face the consequences." "Mr. Keaton, if you don't cooperate, we'll charge you with obstruction. You'll go to prison." "Then I'll go to prison. At least I'll have the satisfaction of knowing I didn't save him one more time." Mora and Walsh exchanged glances. Then Mora stood up. "You're making a mistake." "Everyone keeps telling me that, but I'm tired of making the right choice and getting punished for it. So this time, I'm making the wrong choice, and I'm at peace with it." They let me leave. I drove home, expecting FBI agents to show up any minute with an arrest warrant, but they didn't come. Instead, around 6 p.m., my phone rang. Evan. "Dad." His voice was panicked. "Something's wrong. There are men outside our apartment. They've been circling the building for an hour. I think they're Robert's creditors." "They are. How do you know?" "Because I told them where you were." Silence. Then, "You what?" "I gave them your address. In exchange for them leaving me alone, it was you or me, Evan. I chose me." "No, they're not. The FBI will be there soon. They're raiding the apartment. You'll be arrested, but you'll be alive. That's more than you deserve. You betrayed me." I learned from the best. I hung up. My hands were shaking now. Not from fear or anger. From something else. Something that felt like freedom. I'd spent 8 years carrying the weight of my son's choices, blaming myself for not being good enough, not being successful enough, not being the kind of father he could be proud of. I'd internalized their contempt, accepted their narrative that I was the problem, but I wasn't the problem. They were, and I'd finally stopped trying to save them from themselves. An hour later, the news broke. FBI raids Asheville apartment, 2 arrested in connection with money laundering investigation. No names yet, but I knew. Evan and Lydia were in custody. My phone rang again. This time it was Marcus Patterson. "Daniel, what the hell did you do?" I ended it. "The FBI arrested your son. They're saying he's a key witness in the Chen case, that he's facing federal charges for money laundering and fraud." "Good." "Good? Daniel, he's your son." "No, he's not. He stopped being my son the moment he forged my signature. Everything after that was just me being too stupid to accept it. The property transfer is almost resolved. The judge is going to rule in your favor. You're getting your house back." "When?" "Probably next week." The injunction held, Chen never responded to the lawsuit, and without him fighting it, the court's treating it as an uncontested claim. "You won, Daniel. You got everything you wanted." "No, I didn't. I wanted my son back. The one I thought I had before I opened that safe. But he never existed, so I'll settle for the house." "What about Lydia, the baby?" "What about them?" "Lydia's in custody too. She's pregnant. If she goes to trial, if she's convicted, she'll give birth in prison. That's your grandchild." "Then she should have thought about that before she spent 8 years stealing from me." Marcus was silent for a long moment. Then, "I've known you for 20 years, Daniel. This isn't who you are. You're right. The person I was would have forgiven them, would have taken their apology and tried to rebuild the relationship, would have put family above justice. But that person was a fool, and I'm done being him." I hung up. I spent the evening alone in my house, drinking beer and watching the news coverage. They showed Evan and Lydia being led out of the apartment in handcuffs. Evan looked broken. Lydia looked terrified. I felt nothing. Around midnight, there was a knock at my door. I grabbed my gun and checked the peephole. Agent Mora. I opened the door. Come to arrest me? No, I came to thank you. For what? For giving us the address. We seized over $300,000 in cash from that apartment, plus evidence of Chen's money laundering operation. Bank records, offshore account numbers, the works. Your son is cooperating. He's giving us everything. Good for him? He asked if we could deliver a message to you. I don't want to hear it. He said to tell you he's sorry, that he knows sorry doesn't fix anything, but he needs you to know he means it. And he said he hopes you're happy now. I laughed, actually laughed. Happy? My son's in federal custody facing felony charges. My daughter-in-law's pregnant and probably going to prison. My house was stolen, and I had to fight for a year to get it back. My family is destroyed. Do I look happy? You look free. I stared at him. What? Whatever weight you were carrying, it's gone now. I can see it. You're free from them. From their manipulation, their betrayal, all of it. That's worth something. He was right. I did feel free. Lighter. Like I'd been carrying a corpse and finally set it down. Will Evan go to prison? I asked. Depends on how valuable his testimony is. If he helps us get Chen, maybe not. If he's just another criminal in a network of criminals, probably yes. Either way, he's facing consequences. That's all I wanted. Mora nodded. We'll need you to testify eventually. When the case goes to trial, you'll have to tell a jury what happened, how Chen targeted you through your son, how they stole your property. I'll be there. He left. I locked the door behind him and walked back to the kitchen. Sat down at the table where I'd opened the safe all those months ago. Everything was ending. The FBI had Evan and Lydia. Robert Chen was still missing, but without his money and his co-conspirators, he was finished. My house would be returned to me next week. The mob was satisfied with the cash seizure and had stopped threatening me. I'd won, but it didn't feel like winning. It felt like surviving, like I'd been in a plane crash and crawled away from the wreckage, injured but alive. My phone buzzed. Text from an unknown number. Mr. Keaton, this is Vincent Torino. We've confirmed your information was accurate. The FBI beat us to the apartment, but we're satisfied with the outcome. Chen's money is gone, his operation is destroyed, and we've written off the debt as a loss. You're clear, our business is concluded. I typed back, thank you. One more thing. You're a ruthless man. If you ever need work in our industry, call me. I deleted the message. I didn't sleep that night either. Just sat in the dark house, thinking about how I'd gotten here. About the choices that had led to my son in handcuffs and my family destroyed. Had I done the right thing, or had I let revenge turn me into something worse than the people who'd betrayed me? I didn't know, and maybe I never would. But I knew one thing. I wasn't that trusting fool anymore. The person who'd signed over his house without reading the fine print,